but it was our slogan that your safety first. In each communication was started with it, that first of all, your safety first, and only then business continuity and etc.
Very good. Well, Elena, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. It's really a pleasure to meet you. For those who have not had the pleasure of meeting you, can you briefly just tell us who you are and what you do?
Thank you, Chris, for inviting me to this very important interview. I'm head of operational customer services of Raiffeisen Bank Ukraine, covering all kind of support and back offices for one of the largest banks and one actually the largest foreign bank in Ukraine, Raiffeisen.
Mhm.
And I'm responsible, as I mentioned, for back offices, for contact center, and for card support. So mainly it's all kind of customers and operation support, which is introduced in banking system, and of course BCM management as well for the functions.
Right. Okay. So then, to just start the conversation, I'd love to understand what was the immediate impact to the operations that you run when the war broke out?
I would like, if you allow me, I would like to start with a few steps
Mhm.
before the war, because it was, I think, the stress and the preparation began a few months before.
Mhm.
I would say in October 2021, our Vienna colleagues, they asked us to prepare all kind of BCM plans if the war begins. And we started this BCM, so-called BCM preparation, and operations and information security and business, of course, are the most important parts of BCM processes, especially operations, because actually we are supporting payments, loans granting customers, as I mentioned, contact center, everything. And when we started to prepare this plant, we prepared about 5 plans, like A, B, C, D. Of A, it's like only eastern regions would be demanded by Russia, and we will have some issues there because we also have business in eastern part of Ukraine. And like plan E, that is when there is a full-scale invasion. And in this plan, nobody believed, and we were
Mhm.
meeting like every Friday, discussing the status of our preparations. And to tell the truth, we were really under stressed to be prepared to the situation in which we do not want to believe in.
Mhm.
Moreover, at this stage, let be, I would be quite fair. At this stage, no other banks were preparing. Afterwards, as you asked, at the very first day, we could feel this impact of our preparation because we it sounds awful, but we were really prepared to what happened. We didn't believe in it again, but we were prepared. I would like to stress that my main operational centers were in Kherson, so it's about 1,000 people. Contact center, operational back office, credit, conveyor, analytics, HR, a lot of support functions were in Kherson. And we as a bank, we did understand that it is this area is at risk, yeah, because it's the closest part. And another backup location for us was and is Zhytomyr, which is also very much, as you know, close, and it was one of the first regions attacked by
Mhm.
Russians. So, taking it into account, we prepared all kind of backup functions for Kherson, first of all, for operations and for contact center. What we did, first of all, we made about so many trainings. We prepared first line and backup for first line of contact center in our network. We reviewed all the processes and we reviewed our connections of our contact center and lines of contact center and trained about 1,000 of personnel of our network, branches network, to be ready to talk over telephone in the standards of contact center and at least to be prepared to support the customers for all the first line. We also reviewed all specialists all over Ukraine who ever worked with in back offices and also prepared each function we also got preparation for each function in back office by other people. Like we had backups in IT, in business, in administration, in procurement, like everywhere, to be ready to support each key process in back office. Actually, we managed it. We had a few specialists for each key function. Of course, our information security was the most important role. They played the most important role and actually leaded this process, BCP process, and started with IT and with operations. We started to get our systems into clouds. And actually, we were the second bank in Ukraine after Privat. Actually, almost in 1 month, we transferred all our systems into clouds to ensure that we are able to support the customers and to function even if our so-called physical systems and channels are destroyed. And that is from customer support point of view. And we also did a lot for the people support. Our procurement and administration functions, they've made a number of contracts with hotels and restoration resorts in Western Ukraine. We had about 10 contracts with different hotels to be ready to and to meet our employees if we have to evacuate them, and we ensure that they have proper information security, that they have Wi-Fi lines and etc., so that our people could come with computers, switch in, and support bank's operations. We've got about 80 or 100 buses ready to evacuate people from all over Ukraine, like in main locations, from main locations in Ukraine. We had a communication plan, like what we are going to do in the first day, who is going to come to office, who will not go to office, and etc. How we are going to get in touch with management, with our functions, etc. One more important fact, which we managed to do, like in about 3 weeks and beforehand, we made the so-called BCP testing. We evacuated like very quickly, evacuated about 40 people from Kherson to Zhytomyr just to prove the procedure, how we can do it if we need it. And really, we were, let's say, lucky enough that these 40 people were already in Zhytomyr when the war began. So they were already moved. We tested it, but they were already in Zhytomyr. The only part of the plans that did not work properly, it was evacuation from Kherson. As you remember, Kherson was occupied very quickly, and our buses could not get people from there. We evacuated people mainly in a few months after the war began. And what is also important is that we supported functions, operational functions from Kherson till May.
Okay, Elena. So it sounds like you had a very, very comprehensive emergency plan in place,
Yes.
that you even rehearsed it, and then you were able to
Even
train all your employees. Was there anything? So if we look at the resilience of the bank, was what were the surprises that you found once you had to enact the emergency plans? Was there
Mhm.
anything that perhaps was not exactly like you had anticipated, or that you had to adapt quickly because it was not considered or contemplated initially within the resilience plans?
Yeah, got your question. To tell the truth, no, I would say that we covered most of the areas, and the main thing that we did not anticipate that it would be a really full-scale invasion. But it
Mhm.
was more of like emotional and psychological stress. But what is really great that we were really prepared. People knew what to do, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even being in this stress, we all the people knew what to do.
Okay, Elena, and so you mentioned that perhaps the most difficult part was the emotional
Emotional
stress
stress.
and the situation. So my question is, how have you managed to keep your colleagues and your
Mhm.
staff motivated in these circumstances? Because you look after a large number of people.
Oh, actually, thank you for this question. I forgot to mention that our HR part, actually, I mentioned that HR part of our BCP was the largest one. From the very beginning, except for training, from the very beginning, what our HR did, we had communications with all our group banks, banks from our Raiffeisen group. At each border of with other countries, there were people from all the banks, from Poland, at Slovakian border, Polish border, Czech border. At each of the borders, there were specialists from our banks, from Raiffeisen banks, to accept our employees, to meet our employees, and yes, they were met and transferred to the hotels. Romania, actually Romania, Slovakia, all the countries which had border with Ukraine, they had specialists who met our employees, and they were transferred to safe places. Um, about 1,000 employees and their family members were met during the first days by our supportive banks and assisted in locations abroad. We also launched a few programs, some people supportive programs for evacuation, and financial programs, not only psychological, but financial programs to support employees in their moving from their places to Western Ukraine or to Western countries. And our bank paid for most of the locations of employees and relocations, and for rent of the apartments till September. So it was a huge material support, both from our office in Ukraine and from our Raiffeisen Bank Austrian. Of course, each department had, like myself, we had meetings, daily meetings with most of key employees, and then with all the employees of the department to ensure that they are in the safe places and they have all the information they need and all the support they need. So I think communication was the most important part of all the story. People were communicated and supported psychologically and financially.
All right, Elena. So, does Raiffeisen customers experience any sort of
Mhm.
disruption to the service, or how was the experience seen from the customer side?
Contact center was working 24 hours a day, and in spite of the fact that most of the contact center people were in Kherson, and they were working even from shelters during the first month, and we have all these kind of pictures when our people are working from shelters, and branches employees all over Ukraine also supported customers. Our relationship managers were also online. So I truly believe that, and actually we have these statistics that we never stop We never stopped supporting customers. We did have issues. So of course, we did have issues when during the first winter, as you remember, when there were when Russia was bombarding our electric systems, and we also were preparing for BCP, and a new part of our BCP management started at this stage in winter 2003, when we were supporting all kind of bank power and introducing generators all over the system. And actually, we were also prepared to it, and part of our new BCM was to move employees to western part, even from secure places in Ukraine. We moved some employees of back offices to western part to ensure that no electricity damages influence their work. Plus, about 60 employees were moved by shifts to Slovakia and to Vienna, as this the first winter. During the first winter, when we were influenced by these electricity shortages. So we also didn't have these interruptions. As you know, the National Bank also started this program, a power bank program, and we were a large part of it. Actually, 99% of our branches are supported by generators, and 150, that is half of our branches, are in this program, bank power program supported by National Bank. And now, currently, we have 3 branches even underground, and one more is going to be built up in Kharkov metro, and we are also installing sun batteries on our branches. One branch is working completely powered by sun electricity.
And Elena, from a VCP perspective and from
Mhm.
a, let's say, from a resilience perspective, what have been the main lessons that you've learned, having had to go through the situation, and perhaps what would you do differently, having had the advantage of having now the experience of what to do in a situation like this?
Mhm. With regards of the main lessons learned, I would say that we confirmed that good preparation will help you in any scenarios. Even if you don't cover all the possible scenarios, you will be at least prepared to the most of the situations, I think. And that was our conclusion. Like with our BCP during 2023, when with electricity shortages. I know that it was quite costly exercise to move people to Western Ukraine, to move people to Western Europe. But for sure, we were online with our customers and we never stopped. And as I mentioned, it was very important that it was not only operational team, of course. I'm talking about myself and my people, but of course it was all units were involved: IT, business, branches, procurement, all parts of the bank were involved.
Yeah.
And information security, it was the most important part, of course, in this situation. We had a lot of attacks during these days, and actually, it's really, I think, important to mention that Raiffeisen was not damaged by these attacks because of well preparation, security.
So, and so just to confirm, are these as cyber attacks?
Yes, cyber attacks.
All right, Elena. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share this with us.
Thank you.
I've really learned a lot listening from you, and it's I feel very inspired after hearing the amazing work that you have done.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad to share really. When I was talking, I was proud again and again with Ukrainians and with the team.